Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7th, 1941, as this country undergone such a devastating and damaging attack.
On 4 hijacked airplanes, we know what happened to each of the 4.
There is certainly concern of how people might react.
But the World Trade Center is essentially gone, struck by 2 airplanes.
I was actually en route to my English class that early morning.
Traffic was just completely stopped on the Eisenhower Expressway.
I was in Syria on a vacation. I was overseas.
I had just come back from a vacation in Egypt on 9/10/2001.
I was in a speech class about to give a speech, and ironically my speech was about Islamophobia.
A classmate stopped me and pretty much told me classes were canceled because an airplane flew into the World Trade Center in New York City.
Little did I know that the topic of my speech was going to become a major subject and a major issue in my life from then on.
When people say or do anything that's considered heinous in the name of God, it's not anything that's truly representative of God's glory and what He would command.
It never occurred to me, even then, this was a coordinated attack, that somebody would have the sophistication and the audacity to pull something like this off.
First of all, the shock that this even happened in the United States, let alone that this was being done by people from Muslim background and from Muslim countries.
The fact that they did this claiming to be under the name of Islam was wrong and was hurtful to any Muslim in this world.
In the 10 years since the September 11th attacks, I think a lot of the hate directed at Muslims has become even more mainstream, more overt and outspoken.
The fact that the perpetrators attributed this to their religion, to our religion, to Islam, is adding salt to the wound. Islam does not, and has never justified such barbaric acts of monstrosity.
None of the divine religions came with any of the messages of killing and horrifying people.
We as Americans knew what this meant, and we knew we had to stay strong and to stay united.
To do more for one another, and particularly really reach out, get to know our neighbors, get to know others.
It's scary that as we move further away from 9/11, the intolerance is getting worse. And I'm hoping now that 10 years have passed and we look back on the September 11th attacks.
You cannot go to war against a faith. No faith has gone to war against the United States. That's one of the biggest misconceptions that have to be dealt with. Moving forward in the next decade, I hope that we have a different reaction, a different approach.
To talk to one another, to learn, to work with, to understand all these questions that we have about things we don't know about.
America is a pluralistic society that accepts people of all faiths and backgrounds, and we need to condemn and overcome this hate-mongering and this Islamophobia that has actually been increasing in the last few years.
People still admire the United States for its principles, for its accomplishments, for what it has given the world in terms of innovations. If they have issues or problems, it's with our foreign policy, it's with our wars. These are things that can be discussed and debated. But to engage in this broad brush generalizations, nobody benefits. I think we are about to move on. We've had a decade of this, making these mistakes that can be avoided. Moving forward, we have to look forward. We cannot look back. We need to rebuild this nation. We need to become a strong, great nation once again. That won't happen through self-victimization and self-agonizing. That will only happen when we pick up the pieces and build a great generation, a great civilization on our principles and ideals, and not despite of them.